I can see clearly now, the rain is gone. I can see all obstacles.
Let me ask you a couple of the questions that I'm seeing pop up, and they start with a question on mushrooms. There's a lot of stories about mushrooms, and do you eat raw mushrooms? We'll start there.
Do I personally? I go through phases. I don't like raw mushrooms if they're not marinated for a start. I usually, if I have them, they're marinated in a lime or lemon juice. They're not a huge part of my diet. Let's put it that way. If they're there, I'll eat them. If I may occasionally put them into my raw chili or whatever. I'm still alive. I haven't died on them. I don't get over paranoid about these kind of different things. But they're not something that they're in my daily diet, that's for sure. I guess that's the answer. You could possibly answer this because we have a lot of debates about this in my group, whether you should or shouldn't eat raw mushrooms. You're the expert. What can you tell us?
Well, very much depends on the mushroom.
Right, okay.
Certainly some mushrooms you shouldn't eat under any circumstance.
Yeah.
But what I really attempt to do with this whole segment is not go into those kind of health questions so much.
Okay.
Unless there are things that you're willing to handle. It's a rare. I do Q&A on board here every month, twice a month.
Yeah.
I'm on this webinar, and I can handle any questions that we don't get to or aren't appropriate. I'll handle them in the Q&A.
Yeah.
We have a full schedule of Q&As coming up 24 times a year. So
wow.
We do answer plenty of questions. But I want my experts to be able to shine tonight and every time we have somebody on board. And so the next one is a question about people who have trouble essentially going raw vegan. I mean, in many ways, it's easiest for a child to go raw vegan.
Of course.
And the more time we have behind us with those other habits, sometimes the harder it is to break. But I don't really think it matters the age myself. The most motivated person I've ever worked with to go raw vegan was a 90-year-old man.
Wow, that's awesome.
He called me up out of the blue one day and said, I want to go raw.
Oh, go him. That's awesome.
And I said, like, do you want to do it like gradually, or do you want to just like do it overnight? And he goes, I'm 90.
There's no gradual, there's no time.
I wish everybody could have that sense of urgency, but what would you say is your best advice for people who are trying to go raw and they're having trouble staying raw?
Don't put pressure on yourself. I think when we put too much pressure on ourselves, we set ourselves up for failing. And I think we're all different. Don't compare yourself to someone else, because it's really easy to do in this day and age, especially with social media. You see people, constantly putting themselves out there and say, oh, they know how to do it, they're perfect. But you don't know what they've gone through to actually get there. For me, I just believe if you're struggling, just start, with even breakfast. If you can just have a raw breakfast, you've achieved something. And I think it's a wonderful thing just to grow as you're ready. If you are one of those people that can go like that, awesome. But if you're not one of those people, just start with breakfast, and then if you can move into lunch, well, that's another meal that you're raw for. Even if you start a calendar and you then after that, tick the days off that you're actually raw. If you can be raw 3 days out of 7, you're doing fantastic. And don't be hard on yourself. It's so easy to beat yourself up and say, oh, I failed again. You don't have to think like that. If you muff up, so to speak, and all of a sudden have a cooked meal, don't punish yourself and say, oh, I'm a failure. Say, you know what, I had a cooked meal. It's okay. Tomorrow I'll have raw and go back. Each meal is a new opportunity to put more raw food into your lifestyle.
And I know every bite, don't you?
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think if we bring our past continually with us, then we keep going back to it rather than saying, you know what, it's okay. I had a cooked meal. Tomorrow I'll eat watermelon for breakfast and everything will be great again, you know.
Okay. So that leads us to now you're eating more produce than probably ever in your life.
Absolutely.
And what's your take on the organic thing? And people are asking, you know, do you get concerned about the chemicals?
Absolutely, but ultimately I think we've got to all do the best we can. I know in Australia there was no way I could afford to eat all organic. Organic produce is astronomical. In Australia you can pay up to 6-7 times the amount because we just don't have the demand for it. In a perfect world, yes, we would all eat organic. I truly believe you are still better. I think I read it I think you wrote it. You said you're still better off eating raw food over cooked food, regardless. I think I read it from you. I'm not 100%. I did. Oh, good. Yeah. I try as much as possible to eat organic, but you know, what I can't afford, I can't afford it. It is what it is, and I'm not going to put that pressure on myself.
Have you bumped into any, I'm going to call it either hate mail or people making up stories, either individuals or actually from various industries? You know, the people ask me all the time, you know, what does the meat industry think about my work? And I'm not on their radar. I'm not coming out against the meat industry. I'm coming out in favor of fruits and vegetables. How do you couch your message so as not to get on people's bad side?
I have got on people's bad side. Don't worry. I know there's a forum that completely love talking about my group, and they love talking. Apparently, I haven't been enlightened enough. I'm not sure, but
listen, when people aren't talking about you, you're not doing anything worth talking about.
Yeah, that's right. Look, I have. Look, I've copped abuse from people for sure. You can't. I mean, I've got 32,000 people on my forum. It's a lot of people, and I've had a lot of abuse. I've had a lot of nasty messages sent to me. I've had some vulgar, disgusting things sent to me. I've had hurtful things sent to me. Yeah, definitely. But I can't let that get to me. I have spoken to people with larger social media, discussed with them different techniques that they do and whatever. I have to admit, when it first happened, I thought, wow, what's going on? People hate me, and I don't even think I'm a bad person. But, you know, I've learned to deal with it. I now just try and focus on the people that bring light into my life and appreciate what I'm doing, rather than focus on I call them negative Nancy's and Nigels. If I focus on them, I'm not going to be able to keep pushing out the information and doing the work that I'm doing. So it's really important not to. But yeah, people are nasty. People can be really cruel.
So do you have any, I know this it's not your field, like health advice per se, without becoming medical training and that whole thing. And we're not looking to bypass all of that training and protocol and actually doing things according to what's ethically and morally correct. But what's been your experience with diabetes, diabetics, any guidance on that line at all? The question comes up so often.
My partner was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes 16 years ago. We were actually in Thailand when he started having his blood sugar level was just off the roof, and he went to walk in front of a truck, and I grabbed him back. I'm like, what the hell is wrong with you? You know, thinking he was a crazy person. And when we got back home, he had all his bloods taken, and his blood was through the roof, and they said, you have type 2 diabetes. And that's been a big battle. He was on insulin twice a day, 28 milligrams. We went through the whole diabetes association and the diets they put him on. Oh my God. They put them on diets just to still be diabetic, but nothing changes. And
it's a maintenance program. You maintain your diabetes.
Absolutely. And I went to so many seminars to learn so many different things. And, you know, the things they advocate, you know, the diet drinks and the diet biscuits and just total garbage. And he's been following a high carb, low fat diet, not raw, but he does have a lot of raw in his diet. He's off the insulin. He's off the tablets. He's lost 20 kilos. He's still probably got, I reckon, about 15 to 18 kilos to go. It has been very slow. People with diabetes just don't seem to lose the weight as quickly, but he's been doing really well. We walk 10 to 25 kilometres a day. So we walk heavily, and I think that and diet has been the key components to him coming off his diabetes medicine. And we don't put any added fat into his diet. So the only fat that he has in his diet is purely what he gets from the fruit and vegetables.
And for Gemma, who also asked that question about type 1s, my experience with Gemma has been roughly, when we compare the amount of grams of carbohydrate to units of insulin, which is a nice formula to use. If we just look at grams of carbohydrate to units of insulin, which tells us a fair amount about your insulin sensitivity. What I'm seeing is a 75% reduction in insulin use for type 1 diabetics who are truly type 1 diabetics. Now, a lot of people are classed as type 1, but really they're a mix of either type 1 and type 2, or type 2 that is turning into type 1 due to dysfunction. And a lot of those people can get completely free of insulin, but a true type 1 is going to be insulin dependent, but they're able to reduce usage dramatically. About 75% is what I see as average, and the way to control the spikes is A, create need for sugar before you consume it, and B, keep dietary fat intake levels just as low as humanly possible. Those two factors just work the charm. I did see one last question came in, if you'll do it, and that would be your advice to somebody who wants to be a vegan advocate. Would you say write a book, social media, get your own television show? People always tell me just all you need to do is go to the talk show circuit. And I go, well, yeah, but getting invited is harder than you might think it is. How would you advise somebody who wants to be a good vegan advocate today? What's a good way to go?
I think there's no right or wrong. I always say this, there's no right or wrong way, and I think we all have different methods. I think you have to look at what you're good at and use that skill to help bring people in. I did a speech at the Adelaide Vegan Festival, and I said in my speech, I said, we can all do something. It doesn't matter how little it is, even if it's just putting a post on Instagram daily, just showcasing your food so that people say, I could actually eat that. That's okay. I think the most important thing is do what you're comfortable doing. And as you get bigger and better and more confidence, you grow and you work out what you can do. I mean, I'm a pretty loud and proud vegan. I am openly a vegan activist. I've been in protests, so I push myself out there. But I have changed as well my approach. When I first became vegan, I was a pretty angry vegan. You know, all of a sudden you think, I've been lied to for all these years. The whole world's got to know and everyone's got to follow me, so to speak, and be vegan. But I've changed my approach. I'm not like that now. I realise it's just love, understanding, compassion, guidance, and showcasing your own life. And for me, I just focus on being the best version of myself and being the change I want to be in this world. And if I can showcase that to people, and people see that I'm living a happy life, who wants to follow an angry vegan? I think it's really important to be nice and put yourself out there as a nice, happy person. People say, you know what, I want to follow her. She's got a good approach. And, you know, that for me, I find it's working a lot more than when I was an angry vegan. I'm finding I'm getting a lot more positive responses, that's for sure.
Well done you. Well done you. You definitely catch more flies with honey, don't you?
Absolutely. Vegan honey.
Vegan honey at that.
Yeah.
Vegan, not vegan honey.
Yeah.
Well, Jade, it has been a total pleasure, just a total pleasure. I hope you didn't feel like you were working too much, and that it doesn't take you too long to come down from this presentation until you can get to sleep. It's wee hours up where you are, but
3:15 in the morning.
Yeah, I understand. Thank you so much for being on the show. People will be watching you again and again and again. We'll air this so people can, you know, not only people who are here, but others can watch it. And I look forward to joining forces with you on this, that, and the next thing as things become available. You are a wonder, and you are a wonderful person. I'm very, very proud of you and very happy to have had you on board, and just thrilled to get to know you a bit better than I did. And just keep doing all those great things you're doing with those big groups of people, and letting people know that as you said, if you could do it, anybody could do it. I mean, you came from a deep down dark place, and life is good. Life is really good. Life is sweet. Life is wonderful, and it's going to get even better.
Amen. Life is great. No, thank you so much for having me on here. This has just been an absolute thrill for me, and to meet you, cyber-wise anyway, to meet you has just been an absolute... It's an absolute start. It's just been an absolute joy for me, and another thing ticked off on my bucket list. So it's all happening. Set goals, they happen.
Yes, you are. Folks, we look forward to seeing you soon. We're going to be having, of course, our twice monthly Q&A sessions. We'll continue with our interview series. We've got several informative talks coming up as well over the course of the summer, so I look forward to being with you repeatedly all summer long, both Wednesday nights, and we're going to be adding a few Saturday nights in as well. So looking forward to seeing you again and again. Thanks again, Jade. It has been a treat, an eye-opening treat, and thank you for being such a force for good in the world. Folks, I just want to remind everybody to go to health, and there's not much more I could possibly say than that.
I can see clearly now, the rain is gone.